All right. Welcome to another episode of the Debrief. Um, I have today my very first guest and a very good friend of mine. He agreed after a lot of begging, and I just wouldn't let him go home until he said yes. Um, Very good friend of mine, Leon McIntosh. He is the co-founder of Swyft Interactive. Been around the block for a while, doing a lot of web development, media, and social media marketing, all that stuff. He's also founded other businesses like Tampa Coffee Club, um, Tebru, which it was kind of like the Grubhub competitor, and
Yep.
there's that, and a bunch of other things. So welcome, Leon, to the debrief.
Yeah, man. Stoked to be guest number one, I guess, here. So thanks for having me and looking forward to getting it.
Yeah, man. This was definitely something that I wanted to get into for 2020. Start interviewing people, and you were the first one that actually came up in my head. I was like, who should I interview first? Who's an entrepreneur, knows what he's doing, and is also into some self development and growth as an entrepreneur. And like you were the first person that came up. I was like, yep, let me reach out to him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would say that I know what I'm doing, maybe, but I'll take it though.
All right, so tell us where you started, because I know that you have a tech background, right? And like I guess you're heavy into tech, because we've spoken about different projects, and so it seemed at that point that you were pretty much writing code and building some really cool things. So take us through like where you started out, your background, your education, whatever,
For
and
sure.
do that.
Well, I'm tech by accident, right? Well, let me back up, right? So I went to the University of South Florida. I ran the student newspaper there. I'm lucky to come from a family of entrepreneurs in the first place. My mom ran her own business, a couple of them actually. She used to do like the Tupperware, the very first multi-level marketing scheme, right? And she got the van and all that. So that's who I got to learn from. My dad used to design golf shafts or be in the golf industry. And, he had his own business when we moved back to Florida, and I was at a very young age. From there, went to the University of South Florida, got a couple degrees, won a business plan competition or two. One of them was with Tebru, it was more like an Uber Eats before Uber Eats, just without the thousands of delivery car network. Yeah, and that was really my first venture in terms of real live business, taking money, outside investor money. And it was there. I was actually just a sales guy. My job was to really, I did a lot of, I guess what you can call nowadays is user experience, user interface design. I helped figure out a lot of the flows, how somebody would work with it, both as a front end user and as a restaurant user. And then I became a tech guy because, and I say this for effect, but also it's the 100% truth, is I became a tech guy because somebody put a dick in a comment field on a Friday night, and our programmers at the time did not, program those fields or put the settings on these text fields to accept different characters. So on a Friday night, I had a 3-chain or 3-location pizza joint that was one of our first customers. It brought down the whole system. So, and I was on the way home from Cocoa Beach, actually. I know exactly where I was. And I just kind of, at that point, I couldn't rely on my partner at the time to fix the issue. So it was really right there where I realized, like, listen, if I'm going to do this, I need to know all assets. I need to be able to not only sell it, but fix it. And I need to be able to walk the talk that I'm telling these, potential customers of what we're going to do. So from there, acrimonious end of that about 2 years later, and then started Swyft. What started out as Swyft Design Lab and has evolved into Swyft Interactive, where what we do now is we built websites, mobile apps. I mean, anything runs on a computer or phone. We've built some really cool stuff, had a couple clients get acquired for a bunch of money by some local unicorns, and just, kind of making a move now. We're now transitioning as a company into more of the marketing end. So that's the short version of all of that.
All right. And then you also had Tampa Coffee Club, because I remember doing some photos for that. Um, where is that, and what lessons have you learned from the subscription model kind of business?
Yeah. So Tampa Coffee Club, as you know, and others won't, is what the purpose behind it was to be like a discovery platform, right? A discovery place where you can learn about. We worked with all of the coffee roasters in the Tampa Bay area, which, like craft beer, they were popping up all over the place. And we wanted to help, people discover what was here in the community, try new coffees, see that there's better stuff out there than maybe just Dunkin' Donuts or Folgers. And it was a good time. We did really well when we shut it down. I think we shut it down with almost 400 members on a monthly recurring basis, but learned a lot about what it took, because that idea went from a discussion with my dad and a scribbling on a napkin to a full-fledged selling product to customers that were not friends or family within 60 days. So we went through a lot of evolution in terms of where we started and where we ended, and what the product was and what it went to. And then through that, I mean, just learned that, there's good ideas, there's bad ideas. And then there's times when, if the passion's not there, you just got to cut bait and run. And I think that's ultimately what happened to it, because it was going the direction the business wanted to go was not the direction we wanted to go. And it just wasn't as much fun. So with the birth of our daughter, we shut it down.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I know that whole model, when you told me about it, I was actually impressed. I was like, wow, this is actually a really good idea, because I hadn't known about a lot of subscription models out there. I know there's foods, food
Yeah.
models, and subscriptions, and then other subscription model businesses where it's like survival box or whatever. So
Right.
this was actually a really cool idea, and especially for the majority of people that actually drink coffee, this was perfect. So it sucks that the company eventually was shut down, but you did learn a lot from that. So that's where I want to get into, like, what exactly have you taken away from that that's going to drive your success for the next venture?
Well, so it all ties together in a little bit. And what I would say about the coffee club is, look, man, when it comes to, pursuing an idea or a business, it's really, for me, it's like, well, what's the most fun, right? I don't want to feel like I've got to trudge through some activities just to hopefully make some money at the end of the day. So for us, the coffee club, it was super fun. And our issues in our issues were more on the internal side, or not necessarily internal, but like dealing with the coffee roasters, the state of the industry. It's a lot of second career folks, it's not a lot of necessarily business savvy people. So trying to navigate that was interesting. For us, what we really loved doing was like the expos, the junior league holiday market that we would do in November. because my wife did it with me, Roseanne, and we would hustle and we would sell like $8,000 of coffee in just 3 days, right? But then the hurdles we faced were like shipping. We're trying to sell a $25 product that competes with the $8 product you get at the local grocery store, right? Because we're having to deal with a $10 shipping cost, which kind of stunk and put a damper on it. So we were working really hard for a very thin margin. But just from a learning wise, right, is, going from Tebru to the coffee club, it was a, when do you pull out? When do you pull the ripcord and say, you know what, this really isn't going a way that we can see growth, or, this is going a different way than what we even want to do, right? Do we stick with it and hope it grows, or do we just eject? And I think it's never dead. I mean, we still have very, warm thoughts about it. We actually just talked about it the other day, Roseanne and I. And, it's not completely dead. We may do something with it, but it was definitely a case of understanding like just what was going on in that industry. And honestly, nobody gives a crap about good coffee, right? Everybody, there's so many misconceptions about it. Everybody's got their preconceived ideas about it. And, it was just, it was an uphill battle. It was fun, but it was an uphill battle, and we just pulled the plug.
All right, cool. So what would you say is the one thing that, or the one driving lesson that that you could give to anyone that's coming into any kind of business that is looking to launch their idea, just like you did with Tampa Coffee Club and and Tiperu? Uh, what's the one thing that has been consistent for you moving forward, and that you could share to other people?
That's a good question, man. I battle, right? Because being an entrepreneur, that's always in a constant state of flux. It's like, what's next? What do I do today? What are the activities that make a difference? And I think what has always helped me, and what has been the constant thing that I've done the whole time, is being able to write down what has to happen next, and just blocking and tackling one at a time, right? I think it's too easy to get overwhelmed when you go start a business. It's like, I gotta make all this stuff happen. I need to get all this done right now. And there is no patience in it. And I've just had to learn and be consistent with, all right, well, here's 1 through 10. And this is the order it gets done. We're not going to jump to number 7. We're not going to go back to number 4. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, write down the list. And that's been really the biggest thing that's helped me kind of take a lot of these ideas from, even if it's not a full-fledged full-time activity, but just an idea from something in my head to now it's making a little bit of extra money being a website, or now it's turning into something with the coffee club or Teberu. So that's been a big part of it.
All right. Now, moving away from business, I want to get into something that we're both very familiar with, and that is running. But then you also, I saw recently, you just got a new toy, and and then Roseanne also got a new toy. Why, why do you continue to push yourself physically? Like, what's the driver there to do what you're doing right now?
So, look, the easy answer in that most people give is like, oh, it's the competitive thing, right? I have this competitive. And look, I got that too. I played sports as a kid. But the funny thing is, and I thought about this recently, I got into triathlon, I got into running and stuff, not because I just wanted to be competitive or stay in shape, but it actually kind of helped me battle a little bit of depression in a sense, right? Like, I knew when my first company was going south, I knew it for a while, probably a year and a half, 2 years before I actually left. And, riding my bike, just being out there and like exhausting myself for a little bit, it gave me kind of that relief, and it helped just gave me a place to think where I couldn't be disturbed by a phone or something like that. So, I still do it to this day. It's still very much a therapy for me, but it's just something that's always help kind of let me think through. It's that happy place of, even though it is a struggle, no doubt, it's just that happy place of having somewhere where I can't be bothered and I can really kind of process what's going on.
Right. Now, are we going to be seeing some posts of you heading off to like Hawaii or one of these top spots for Ironman?
No, I got nixed, man. So I tried to get into Challenge Roth, which is the Ironman World Championship competitor, and I got in. But we decided we want to try to have another kid this year, so not going this year. But I'm definitely going to try to get there next year.
All right, very good, very good. All right, so what I want to do is introduce a section of this whole podcast where it's I call it the redacted files. It's the redacted section of the podcast that is only going to be available to certain people, right? So at this point, if you have access, welcome to the redacted files. All right, so Leon, where can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you as far as hiring your company, Swyft Interactive, to build them something bigger and better?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find us it says Swyft Interactive on the board. I'm filming a course, but you can find us at swiftinteractive.com, and it's Swyft with a Y. You can find me on Instagram, Leon Mac24. But anything that goes through their website comes straight to me. And we're always looking to work on new and exciting stuff. And we're really big in the email marketing and helping e-commerce stores drive a lot of revenue. We did about 10 million for clients last year and looking to double that this year. So.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, being the first ever guest on the podcast. And well, I'll probably see you maybe not next week because I'm going to a podcasting meetup. But the
Nice.
following week, I'll show up after my workout. I'm sure you'll still be at Run Club, and we'll have a beer.
Sounds good to me, man. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to seeing this up online and the feedback that it gets.
Yeah, man. So I'll let you know when the video goes up. I'll let you know when the audio is published. I'll be publishing the audio tonight. There was some issue with the host that I use. There was a setting that was turned on that blocked any outgoing shows. So anything after Christmas hasn't shown up in Apple Podcasts. So I spoke to them. I was like, "Hey, you gotta fix this. This is ridiculous." So it'll be out there, and I'll send you a link to the audio. I'll send you a link to the video as well. That's it, man. I appreciate it. And for everyone else, again, check out Leon's website, leonmacintosh.com, and then also his company, swiftinteractive.com. And with that, we will see you and talk to you tomorrow. Bye.